Can the new MacBook Air 15-inch be an option for filmmakers like myself for editing on the go? Now, why even consider the Air? Why not just get a MacBook Pro and call it a day? Any respectable tech YouTuber will tell the audience the same thing. Don't even bother wasting your breath getting the MacBook Air for anything other than daily tasks. So why did I buy it? Okay, so before I jump into the video, I do have a little bit of a story to tell you all, but if you don't want to hear it, you can skip ahead. There are chapter markers here, so you can click around to where you want to. But anyway, here's the story. I just picked up a MacBook Air, the new one that just dropped, with me to LA as I shoot another commercial with Now's, Caleb, and an agency and stuff like that. Little did I know this would be the start of a roller coaster of emotions dealing with gear and coming back from LA. I'm just going to share with you a series of unfortunate events that went on, starting with when I first got the MacBook Air. Y'all, you won't believe this. During my meeting with Niles and Caleb, I got too excited. Wanted to show what I was going to rig up for this next shoot. Slips out of my hand and then hits my screen. You can't see it, hold on. Freaking brand new, and I do this to my Air. There's another one over here, like a scratch. Oh my goodness.
Niles put a scratch about a longer one, but less wide on mine. The like first week I got it too. This is nice. Can you open it real quick?
Yeah.
I like this a lot.
Yeah, wow. It's actually quite nice.
Ooh, your mouse is kind of slow.
But, you know, the show must go on. I was trying to use this laptop as I was flying out there to dump footage, to edit a little bit, and all that stuff, which we'll get to that a little bit later. But now, fast forward to the night before I was leaving back home after the production. My new friend, Joe, and we actually decided to go down to Santa Monica Pier to catch the sunset with our cameras. And we were super excited. It was a beautiful day. We had wrapped early. So, you know, we wanted to just go back out there. And I was still using the Fujifilm MK series lenses for the Fuji X mount. Since you guys have seen already, the 18-55 and the 50-135. I left the 18-55 in the trunk of the car in my camera bag, and it was locked with some other items, like my other Fujifilm X-H2S body in there too, and some other things. You can see where I'm going with this, right? So we finish up. It was only like 25 minutes, less than 30 minutes. We get back to the car. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Drive all the way back into our hotel, which was downtown. So it was about a little less than 40-minute drive. We get out, open the trunk, and to my surprise, my camera bag was not anywhere in sight. And Joe's bag was open and his laptop was gone too. I was like, whoa, I am so confused. Where the heck is this bag, right? Looked at my phone and I see that the last known location was in Santa Monica, but it was on the move. Long story short, we did try to go back there to find it, but eventually called the cops, made a police report. And yeah, I lost $7,000 worth of gear that night. Not the greatest feeling to say that, but I did. Honestly, the most devastating aspect of this whole situation is the lenses being stolen. Well, one of them, the 18-55, because that lens was not mine. It was given to me to use for this shoot from Valentina V. You guys have seen her content. Fantastic person, fantastic content maker, and director, and all those things. It was in my possession, so I feel super disgusted by the whole situation because, you know, it was my responsibility and that happened. But V was very compassionate. She understood the situation. And so we're working things out, and I'm going to make it right to her. So again, thank you for understanding, V. Really appreciate it. And again, thank you to everyone who sent messages about the situation. I really do appreciate it. Now, all in all, God is still good and he still provides. So I am working with my insurance, and hopefully we'll have all this resolved in the next couple of weeks. So it's a slow process, but things are moving. Now, for those who made it up to this point, thank you for listening. I want to give you my verdict on whether or not this laptop can be used for editing. And the answer is yes, but there are some nuances where I'm going to be explaining later in the video. But to give you some context of how I'm using this and the specs that I got for this laptop, I have an 8 gig, 10 core GPU, 1 terabyte SSD. And it's pretty much base model. I didn't add anything else outside of that. And the type of footage that I edit on here are 422 ProRes files from the X-H2S, sometimes HQ, sometimes just regular 422. So that gives you an idea of the type of footage I'm using. While I'm in DaVinci Resolve, I normally play back at full resolution or at half speed, and I can put a color grade. Now I don't color grade, I color correct. And so that's just putting a Rec 709 LUT and then making a few adjustments, nothing too extreme. And it handles that with the charm. This video that you're watching was edited on this laptop. And the previous video that I made with the small HD monitors, 80% of that video was made on this laptop. The rest of it was down on my studio because there's some things I haven't transferred over yet, like some plugins and stuff like that. Only time this bottlenecks that I've experienced is when I have noise reduction, mainly noise reduction, and some plugins that haven't been, I guess, optimized, for M2. I don't know. Those are types of things that I run into. Those are just like not a non-issue for me. So that's some context. But finish watching this video so you can hear all of the things I'm going to kind of mention about this experience so far. So the number one thing that was become really of a pain using the iPad as a daily driver, sort of like a laptop hybrid, is that oftentimes when you have a SSD plugged into it and you're editing, DaVinci Resolve, the program I was using, will sometimes say missing file for no reason. You will get no warning other than the clip saying it's missing. And you would close it out and then unplug it, plug it back in, still nothing. So I had to restart the whole iPad over, and just that happened way too often when I was trying to finish some videos. As I was doing the second to last video I was trying to finish, I was running into that problem a lot. The second thing was the speed of it. I thought I was getting faster, but over time it just got a little too cumbersome to kind of find where things are. You're kind of used to being what the desktop is. And for the most part, the way that the layout is for the iPad is very similar, but some things were just missing, and then it just kind of slowed down that workflow. Shortcuts did help, but it didn't feel as comfortable as being on a desktop or a laptop. This is me coming clean, and at least one of us, me, had to actually go through this experience to kind of show you all how it works or it doesn't work. Now, the iPad does hold a special place in my heart. It is a perfect tool to create, and there's just a lot of things I do on the iPad that the laptop just can't do. A really weird thing too, a lot of these apps still aren't optimized to work like the desktop versions of it. So what I mean is, when I was trying to upload one of my videos from the iPad, when I finished exporting it and try to upload it to YouTube, every time I tried to upload it through the YouTube dedicated app, it would kick me off and go to the Studio app, but you can't upload through the Studio app. So I had to delete both apps and go through the web browser to upload a video. Like, what? Can we fix that, YouTube? Also, another thing I was running into is that the export, I was having issues exporting the files back onto the SSD. Like, it would give me an error. Only time it finally worked is when I exported directly to the iPad itself, and then it was working fine. So like little kinks like that, was like a head scratcher. So why did I pick up the Air, and how am I using it for my filmmaking and editing? Well, okay, deep down inside, I was missing the laptop experience, but I still have those same feelings towards not having a Pro. I know, I'm weird. So when Apple did announce the new laptops, the new Airs, and they made it a 15-inch, I'm like, dang, that's actually kind of perfect. I don't need something that's overpowered. I just need something to get by through the day, because that's just how my life is right now. And I spend, again, I say this before, 80% of my time at home. And so I'm going to be editing on my bigger computer anyway. So that being said, I immediately pre-ordered the laptop once they announced it. And here we are. Now, what's it been like editing on this for the last 2 videos or so? Yeah, the experience has been good so far. I'm keeping it pretty light, no pun intended, with the Air. But with the 512 gigs of SSD, it doesn't get you, much headway. So I don't really try to push it. Most of the apps I have running is either Safari, Notion, Eagle. I'll talk about Eagle in another video. And then DaVinci Resolve. And that's kind of what's handling all of that. And 8 gigs of RAM just seems to be working nicely. Again, there is some stuttering here and there, but nothing that is going to break the laptop. Now, a 4K export of a 15-ish minute video went about 20-ish minutes. So there's that stat, if that matters to you guys. if you were to go the Air route and you're an editor like myself, maybe get a 1 terabyte. To be honest, like speccing this out doesn't make sense to me because you're just in the territory of a MacBook Pro now. So like get the base, understand that this is what it is. 1 terabyte is probably the most I would go, and then just roll with that. That's how I see it. So I guess that's not me giving a recommendation. That's just me. If you do go this route, I would have probably gotten a 1 terabyte versus the 512, but here we are. Take this by a grain of salt. I am a very peculiar tester. I experiment with a lot of different things, and sometimes that's the detriment of spending money, but here we are making this video. Okay, cool. Thank you for sitting through this video. If it was helpful, let me know in the comments. If this was a stupid idea, let me know in the comments as well. And this next video is going to be very exciting. 1 second. Look what came in the mail. If you don't know what this is, watch this video and it will let you know what I bought. Okay, I'll see you guys.